Let's jump to this story from NBC News. This is crazy. 2 U.S. Marines assaulted in Turkey by nationalist mob chanting "Yankee, go home." A video of the incident showed someone placing a bag over the head of the Marine. So this happened in what city was this? It was in Turkey, and it was Izmir. So these were, what were these? Were these Marines? Because I've heard it reported both that they were just Navy, but others saying that they were Marines.
I've always seen Marine.
I've seen
Marines.
Marines
As well.
Yeah. The group restrained one Marine before one of them places a bag over his head. Moments later, another man can be seen charging the group. None of the service members are in uniform. I'll pull that video up in a second, but I want to jump to this too. I want this to be a part of it. Turkey is seeking to join BRICS. This is massive on the global stage. Turkey joins BRICS, putting Western control of the Bosphorus at risk. Not that we're very happy with how Turkey operates as it is, but the Bosphorus connects the Black Sea to the Mediterranean. So this is shifting global power from NATO in the West into BRICS, which means big bad things for the United States. You combine these kinds of stories with Turkish nationalists attacking U.S. personnel.
We have real problems.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost as though the best thing for the United States would be to close the border, become energy independent, and bring American manufacturing back.
Okay, Donald Trump.
Perhaps.
It is funny how we have
Crazy
solutions to
idea.
these problems,
We do have
and we just
some
apparently
solutions.
cannot implement them without, I don't know, being racist? Question mark?
I think this
Question
goes
mark.
to we have an inability to acknowledge good and evil exist in the country and the
We have
world.
an inability to acknowledge good and evil, and it's because we abandoned religion.
I
And
think-
we replaced God with the false idol of self and replaced the soul with gender. And now we have completely and totally lost our way. You know, gender and identity. You could put both of those
We
in.
do have the video. We can pull this up. It's they just are screaming and they look at this. Wow. And they start punching him. So apparently a bunch of these guys got arrested, but BRICS wants their own currency. Saudi Arabia is off the petrodollar. Oil is being traded internationally in yuan and rubles. The
And we're
American
cutting-
empire is
yeah,
done.
And we're cutting back on Gulf of Mexico drilling for some reason because the Biden and Harris administration doesn't want us to do that anymore.
So question, because we've talked about this a couple of years ago. Is this the intentional decline of the United States in order to avoid Thucydides' trap?
that was sort of the Obama thing, right? That was sort of the rumor of Obama, that he thought that his job was to manage the decline of the United States.
The fear being that with China rising on the global scale, a rising economic power, whenever there's a rising economic power that is on the verge of supplanting the dominant power, there is a very high tendency for large-scale war to break out. The liberal economic order has believed since the 50s, these is Council on Foreign Relations people, high-level U.S. and European politicians believe that another world war would end humanity. So is this them saying, okay, transfer our assets to China, China's taking over, and the United States, and move on?
I actually think China's decline is more dangerous than America's decline. And this is where I come in with where I think Elon Musk is correct. You were mentioning, like, you know, the climate change and all those things. And you asked about kids and presidents and everything else, which I think is an interesting question. China's population's peaked. And if you look at the projections, because of the one-child China, in the next
One-child policy?
Yeah, in the next 50 or 60 years, China's population could be cut in half.
They
And
got
actually,
rid of that, though. They got rid
now
of
they have, but
yeah.
but the problem is
It's a little late.
so locked in,
Yeah.
and they had so many more male children than female children, and all those
yeah,
things.
they killed their lady.
They had a lot of
babies.
But one of the aspects of history, if you study it, is wars often happen not when countries are at their peak power, but when the peak power has passed and you can see a rapid decline coming, which is why I worry that China in a decline begins to act more aggressively than China on the ascent. Because if China thought, hey, in 40 years, we're going to be the superior economy to the United States, I think they could afford to wait. My concern is in 40 years, China is going to be severely diminished. And I think my concern on the United States side there is in 1980, I was mentioning Jimmy Carter. He got defeated to a large for many reasons, but one was because Iran had taken the hostages, and he was so weak that he couldn't get them back. Hirsch Goldberg, Poland's mother, spoke at the DNC, and a few weeks later, Hamas put a bullet in the back of that kid's head.
They trotted her out on stage to beg for her son's life.
Wow.
And
And then she
they-
just spoke at her son's funeral.
Yeah.
And Hamas disrespected American power to such an extent and did not fear our retaliation that they put a bullet in that kid's head right after his mom spoke at the DNC.
Wow.
Evil, and I do believe Hamas is evil, responds to fear and power. They have no fear of us, and they do not believe that we have the power to act.